Back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Let's Talk Fantasy Football. I'm your host tonight. My name is Nick Walsh, and I am here with the one, the only, the man, the myth, and potentially the legend. I'm not quite sure. I'm here with the DON, Don Chrisman. Don, what's going on, man?
What's up, dude?
Not much. I'm ready to do a little Thursday night edition of the preview podcast. We've got the Week 6 preview coming at you. Hopefully you listen to the recap because Shrek and Vinny went over the Thursday night game, which is happening as we are recording this. I am not watching it. Don, do you have the game on in the background?
5 seconds in the half right now, 10-10, and Panthers have they're going for a touchdown here, and it was swatted. So it's 10-10 going into the
Interesting. Don and I are playing each other this week in our main league. I have Alshon Jeffrey, and he, for whatever reason, started Nelson Aguilar in this game, which is actually working out more in his favor than in mine at this point.
I did it on purpose.
Yeah, no, totally on purpose. Totally didn't get drunk and put him in there and forget about it. But anyway, before we really get into the meat and potatoes of tonight's podcast, we got to give a big shout out to Bench Boss. Bench Boss is the revolutionary app that allows you to play fantasy football live while watching the game on TV. Predict the plays, the results of the play, and literally play fantasy football. So you can sign up for the beta now by going to letstalkfantasyfootball.com/benchboss. I know Vinny Vinny was in the beta test for that this past week. He said it was a lot of fun. Apparently it made his girlfriend mad at him because he was not paying any attention to her while he was trying to predict plays for the Monday night game. But anyway, definitely go check out Bench Boss, get into that beta, and then when they do go live, full blown, it'll be a lot of fun for you guys. Also, make sure if you're listening to us on iTunes, Stitcher, whatever the case may be, please subscribe. And if you do enjoy us, maybe give us a review, that sort of thing, as every single podcast tells you to do, like and subscribe and review and whatever else. We're just like all the other ones, apparently.
Yeah, unless you have a bad review, don't leave it there.
Yeah, don't leave that. Only leave bad reviews specifically about Don.
Exactly. On our Instagram account.
Yes, exactly. Tell everyone that you think Walsh is really good and extremely good looking, and Don is bad. But anyway, guys, and what? And
bad looking.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure you say that Don's bad looking as well. And then, guys, make sure you're checking out the Let's Talk Fantasy Football apps available on both iOS and Android. So now that we got that out of the way, Don, this is part one of the preview podcast, but we got to get to some big news that came out and really still a developing story. I'm sure you guys have heard about it by the time you're listening to this on Friday morning or whenever it is, but the Zeke injunction was upheld or whatever. I don't know exactly what that means, but what it amounts to is he is now looking at a 6-game suspension, and apparently he's appealing again. I don't know, Don, what's your take on this?
Yeah, apparently he is appealing. I don't know. I mean, I guess the one good thing you can look at if you're a Zeke owner is that it is the bye, which gives you a little bit more time and hope. The details on the appeal or how it's going to go through, but that's the only hope you can have is that you have the bye and a little bit more time to push it off.
Yeah, I would say, though, there's probably like a lot of teams that have running backs out there like a Rex Burkhead or like a Deontay Foreman or that kind of thing. And if you look on your waiver wire, and an Alfred Morris or even a Darren McFadden is available, I would go ahead and pick them up, particularly Morris, but I think also McFadden, just because McFadden will likely be active if Zeke is not playing, and he generally will have some PPR upside there. So I'd be scouring I know waivers have gone through, but scour the free agent list. So I was actually able to. Right when the news broke, I checked every single team that I have to see if like Alfred Morris was randomly on the waiver wire, and in one league he was, and I just grabbed him. So I mean, definitely make sure you're taking a look out for that and adding the Cowboys running backs if they are available.
Yeah, that's definitely a good look.
All right, cool. Let's get into this week's schedule then. We'll start with the teams on the bye. There's 4 of them again this week. We have Buffalo, Cincinnati, Dallas, and Seattle. So, some pretty important players in there, as there tends to be every week. As you said, Dallas is on the bye, so you got another week to figure that out. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's get right into the games. We have Cleveland at Houston, first game of the week. Houston's a 9.5-point favorite at home. The over-under there is 47. Don, what do you think about the home team here? What do you think about Houston? They've really been on a tear with Deshaun Watson looking amazing, just throwing like 4 touchdowns a game or whatever he's doing. What do you think about Watson this week against Cleveland and then the rest of those Houston targets?
Yeah, I think that Deshaun Watson is going to continue to roll. The last 2 weeks, he was QB1 this past week and QB2 the week prior. Funny story, I was going against Quarter this week, who's also in our league, and he needed a quarterback, and I saw Deshaun Watson on the waiver, and I had priority over him, even though I didn't need a quarterback. I was like so close to just taking Watson to block him, and I didn't, and I should have. I would have lost anyway, but now he has Deshaun Watson, who's probably going to be definitely should be in top 5 QB play. The Browns rank 31st in pass defense, so that should lead Deshaun Watson into some more kicking ass.
Yeah, at some point Watson's not going to he's going to fall off this pace that he's on, but I don't think this is the week. Cleveland's been awful against the pass, as you said. So let's talk about these passing targets. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins is getting a huge amount of targets every week. He's a no doubt play. But now you've got Will Fuller, who has 4 TDs over the past 2 weeks. And then I also think Ryan Griffin is very interesting this week. So talk to me a little bit about Fuller and Griffin and whether you think either one of them is worth playing.
Yeah, so real quick, just to show how crazy the target distribution is compared to everyone. DeAndre Hopkins is a 56 target compared to the next guys up is Bruce Ellington and Ryan Griffin at 15. That's ridiculous. Now, obviously, with Will Fuller coming in, there's going to be more. But Will Fuller still only has about 9 targets in the past 2 weeks. But, he's had 4 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. So he seems to be that red zone threat or the guy that they're trying to get the touchdowns to. So DeAndre Hopkins is an obvious start. Will Fuller, I think you throw right in too, especially against this horrible Browns passing defense, as well as Ryan Griffin. I think that especially with these buys going down, he's someone that you can stream and play against, again, the bad Browns defense. So those are the 3 guys that you do want to play this week, along with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm as bullish on Fuller as you are. I'm kind of skeptical of that target share. I know he has the 4 touchdowns. He's you can throw him in there, but you need to understand that Will Fuller has a very low floor when you're throwing him in. So you might end up with 2 points, or you might end up with 20. It's difficult to tell. The Browns have been absolutely destroyed by tight ends, and not just good ones. Tyler Kroft had a huge game against them. ASJ got in the end zone this past week. I picked up Ryan Griffin as insurance in a couple of leagues where I have Travis Kelce, and his status was less clear, going into waivers. So I like Ryan Griffin a lot this week. I think he's a very, very good play. And then in the backfield, Lamar Miller last week really had a very good game. He got 88% of the snaps, compared to Deontay Foreman was getting a little bit more in the previous weeks. I think that's a bit of a mirage because they were playing from behind and they clearly don't trust Foreman in the pass game. In this game where they're playing from ahead, I think Miller will still get the majority of the snaps, but you'll see Deontay Foreman in there as well. That being said, I think Miller's the only real play here. Yeah,
Miller's definitely the only real play. Cleveland's actually pretty good against the run. I think they're 3rd. Deontay Foreman also saw a little bit less of touches last week because he had that fumble. So, right. But I think Lamar Miller is going to be more of a pass threat more than a run threat. But still look to see that Deontay Foreman will still be getting more touches in the weeks to follow. But Lamar Miller is your only running back that you want to play on that side.
All right, let's move over to the Browns side of the ball. I think the obvious play here is Duke Johnson. He's been great, out of the backfield, catching passes, lining up in the slot. I don't see any reason for that to stop this week. What do you think about Duke? And then is there anyone else you're interested in on the Browns?
Can we phone in Vinny for Crowell and what he thinks?
Whatever his answer is, it's wrong because he's going to say to play him probably, and that's not correct.
Yeah, and Houston's front line is still pretty tough. I know there's some injuries going on with their defense, but they still got a pretty good front line. Crowell has still not had a touchdown. Duke Johnson has the past 3 straight weeks he has. So Duke Johnson is like your only Brown that I'm saying that you should play.
I'm mildly, and I know this is probably too much for, your standard 1 quarterback, 12-team league or whatever, but I'm mildly interested in Kevin Hogan. He's got more rushing ability than you would think. He's a pretty good runner. He had 4 rushes for 30 yards last week. Was always a threat at Stanford with that. And with Houston, the injuries to J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless, I think that defense might take a couple steps back this week. So I think Hogan's an interesting play. I might throw like a Hogan Duke Johnson stack out in daily just because no one's going to be using that. But and it would have to be like 2 quarterback type league really to really consider him. But I kind of like him.
You definitely will be the only one doing that stack.
Yeah, I would think so. the classic Browns quarterback and running back stack.
Oh my
and then
God.
It's probably worth mentioning that David Njoku has gotten a little bit of hype. He's getting less than 50% of the snaps for the Browns. Don't play David Njoku just yet. And then Ricardo Lewis led the team in targets last week. He's probably worth being owned, and it might be worth a shot if you're desperate at wide receiver.
Yeah, he would be your only shot is Ricardo Lewis, but I still say you don't need to play him.
Fair enough. Who you got in this one, Don?
Ooh, I got Houston, man.
I'm going to take the upset. I'm going to take Cleveland. I like Kevin Hogan. I think he's going to have a big week.
Disrespectful again.
I'm just going to take Cleveland every single week on the podcast until the end of the season. And I'm going to be right maybe 1 or 2 weeks. But I'll be very happy those 1 or 2 weeks. All right. Let's move on to New England at the Jets. Despite being on the road, New England is a 9.5-point favorite against the 3-win Jets. The over-under here is 47.5. Let's start on the Jets side of the ball. So Matt Forte is on track to return, it looks like. Bilal Powell is likely not to go. So it's going to be probably a split between Forte and Elijah McGuire. Do you want to play either, both, or neither of those running backs?
Oh, see, I thought Forte was still not playing. I didn't know he's coming back. With that being,
it's still up in the air, but they say I think the general gist is it's more likely that he's going to play than not.
If Forte plays, I don't know if I'm playing either. But if Forte is out, I'm interested to play Elijah McGuire in like a flex spot because Pat's run defense is pretty bad. And I would be okay with you throwing that flyer out there. But if they're both playing, I don't think I'm going to play either because it's going to be just split.
Okay. I think I would probably play McGuire either way because I think if Forte does go, I don't think the Jets, this is going to be a particularly close game, even though the Jets are at home. So if the Jets are down a bunch and Forte's just coming off an injury, why would you use him almost? So I think McGuire could be like a garbage time hero with 5 catches for 42 yards in the fourth quarter or some shit like that. And just, end up putting up a nice day. What do you think about the rest of this offense? Because I'm kind of on McCown as a streamer.
Yeah, McCown, I mean, again, the Patriots defense is not really stopping anyone. I think McCown, if you had to stream him, it's not horrible. I think he's going to have a really good, if you even want to stack him with some ASJ. ASJ having the highest targets in the past 2 to 3 weeks. And the Patriots are really bad against tight end. So I think ASJ is a definite start as well. I think Robbie Anderson could be a flyer. He's the next one up with targets. I know Jermaine Kearse has been the guy that's been getting touchdowns here or there, but it looks like ASJ still is leading the team in targets inside the 10-yard line. So if they're in the red zone, that's going ASJ's way. I think Robbie Anderson has got more upside than Jermaine Kearse. So I think Robbie Anderson would be a flyer.
I think you could use both of them as flyers, but you definitely don't have to. It's, again, desperation bye week type stuff, and I wouldn't go out of your way to start either. Definitely agree with you on ASJ though. On the Patriots side of the ball, Gronk is expected to play, but we're not really sure. So, keep your eye on that. And then the other injury news there is Rex Burkhead is likely to return this week. But with the roles of Gillislee and White seeming like they're pretty well entrenched, I doubt he'll be used very much. Do you have any interest in a returning Burkhead? And then is there anyone on this team that you want to sit that we normally start?
No, I don't have any interest in Burkhead. And yeah, I mean, the targets are pretty crazy and they're so well distributed. It's wild. I think Chris Hogan's going to have a really good game. I think you start them all, though. I don't think you have to go into it. I think if you have them, you have to play them. But just an interesting fact is Hogan has had 5 touchdowns in the last of their 4 games and 7 TDs over their last 7 dating back to January's playoffs. So it's pretty much like recording a touchdown every game he plays in. Yeah,
he's legitimately very good. And, he's outperformed Cooks at the beginning of this year. I don't know if that'll continue the whole year. But, Hogan's a great player. And you're right. It's the Patriots, and we've said this in the past, the Patriots are a start everyone offense. So until further notice, you're starting White, Gillislee, Gronk if he goes, Hogan, Cooks, Amendola, and Brady. And that's every single week until further notice, basically.
Yep.
Who are you taking in this game, Don?
Going Patriots.
I'm also taking the Patriots. If the Jets go to 4-2, I don't know what to think. I did think. Side note: I thought it was very funny. A guy that I'm friends with, who's a Jets fan, on Twitter, I forget, it might have been Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report was like an early look at the NFL playoff picture, and like the Jets are technically in the playoffs right now. They're in 6th, right? And the article didn't even mention them at all, and the dude was like pissed about it. I was like, I get that like they're in 6th right now, but are you serious, man?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to complain to Bleacher Report about not including the Jets in their playoff picture article? Anyway.
This is probably their last time that they have a winning record.
Yeah. They're going to go to 500 after this game, and I don't know who they play the week after, but I doubt they'll be above 500 after this week.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Miami at Atlanta. This game is going to be really ugly. Atlanta's an 11.5-point favorite at home. The over-under is 46.5. I guess let's start on the Miami side of the ball, where the big news here is that Devontae Parker might not go. It was said that his injury was minor. I believe it was an ankle issue. And then he hasn't practiced yet this week, and it's Thursday. So it's looking a little sketchy there. What do you think about the Dolphins' offense here against Miami? And if Parker doesn't go, who are you looking to play?
Yeah, I think it's kind of scary for Parker. I'm leaning towards I don't think he's actually going to play. With that being said, that even opens up Jarvis Landry even more. Jarvis Landry has by far the most targets. He's out targeting Parker by 15. He's got 43 targets of the year so far. So I think Jarvis Landry's the play. Also, I did read that Falcons are just letting everyone in the slot just kind of beat them up on their defense. Yeah. So I know Jordan Matthews had a touchdown. Tate has. Cobb had a good game against them. So it looks like already being the high targeted receiver, it looks like Jarvis Landry is set up to have a very good game. So if you have him, you should be pretty pumped about that matchup. That's about it. I still don't think I'm touching Kenny Stills just because Miami sucks. Jarvis Landry's the only one I think you're going to salvage and have a good game with. But and I think you're still rolling out Ajayi. I think this is the week that you really find out if like Ajayi is going to be a bust for you because the Miami Dolphins suck, or he's going to have a bounce back week against a mediocre Falcons defense.
See, I think I'd consider sitting Ajayi even for a guy like Elijah McGuire, to be honest. Ajayi's only had 9 targets in 4 games. I don't trust him in a game where I expect them to be down a lot. Yeah. He just has a very, very low floor. Regarding Landry, I think particularly if Parker doesn't go, like Landry might break like the single game catch record in this game because Atlanta, as you said, Atlanta is vulnerable over the middle. They shut down the sidelines, they shut down the outside receivers, and it's been the slot receivers, the tight ends, and the pass catching running backs who have gotten, who have had good games against Atlanta this year. And Miami doesn't have a tight end that they use a lot. They have Julius Thomas, but they don't really use him much. And then they don't really have a pass-catching running back that gets a ton of work either. So to me, it's Landry, and I could see him getting 20 targets in this game, like no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's set to have a day, so you guys should be licking your chops if you have him.
Absolutely. On the Atlanta side of the ball, it's looking like Julio Jones is going to play. Mohamed Sanu will not play in this game. The Dolphins D is second in run Football Outsiders run DVOA, but 29th in pass DVOA. So I'm very on Matt Ryan in this pass game. What do you think about Matt Ryan, the pass catchers, and then, the backfield duo of Freeman and Coleman?
Yeah, Matt Ryan. I think if you're a Matt Ryan owner, you're a little upset because I don't think he's really even broke top 10 any week. But he's actually having a pretty good year. It's just he's not getting as many touchdowns. That should change against Miami. With Julio Jones going, I also think actually you could spin the wheel on Austin Hooper this week. Miami's not that great against the tight end. So I think this could be a week that Austin Hooper has some good value. Whether you have a bye or you've just been streaming tight ends, he is a tight end streamer this week. You're obviously playing Devontae Freeman, and I'm cool with playing Tevin Coleman too.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think everything you said there is pretty much correct. Hooper's the guy besides Ryan Griffin who I was going after as like insurance for Kelsey this week. He had 7 targets last week, and again, Julio Jones and Sanu did get hurt. Jones will be back, but still, Sanu's probably the guy who's getting more of Hooper's targets than Jones is anyway. So I like Austin Hooper this week. What do you think about Taylor Gabriel, who will be moving into more snap share against this poor Miami secondary? I think he's like in the range of play as like a Robbie Anderson or a Will Fuller to me.
Yeah, I think I would still take Fuller over those two guys just for the touchdown dependency. But Taylor Gabriel is a flyer. There's sometimes that Taylor Gabriel goes off, so he's just a boomer bust guy. But if Sanu goes down, I don't hate it. I would play Taylor Gabriel if you're in a bind with Sanu being out. So
fair enough. I think that pretty much does it for the Falcons. I think we talked about everyone. So I'm taking Atlanta here. Don, who are you taking?
Yeah, I'm going to Atlanta too.
You're not taking Jay Cutler for the upset? This is
fuck that.
Unbelievable. Absolutely. I thought I knew you, Don. I thought I could trust you.
Matt Moore starts week 8.
Oh, probably sooner than week. Oh wait, do they have a bye week 7? Is that why you said that?
No, but that would be very clutch.
I wouldn't be surprised if he starts week 7. I'm surprised he's not starting now.
I am too.
Cutler just doesn't seem like he ever got out of retirement mode. But anyway, let's move on to Detroit at New Orleans. So this should be a pretty high scoring one. New Orleans is a 5-point favorite at home. The over-under here is 50 points. On the Detroit side of the ball, Stafford is practicing fully, but he kind of has a bum ankle. And that's worrying me a little bit. People have asked us about him as like kind of a streamer or a quarterback option. What do you think about Stafford this week?
Yeah, Stafford, I think he's a go. And if he's a go, I think he's still a viable streamer to play. He's been playing well this year. They're going against a pretty beaten up defense still. They're never good. So if he's going, I think you still play Stafford. He's having a pretty good year this year. So that's something you just got to find out. But there are some decent streamers. Yeah, play him if he's around. I still think he's a low QB1 option.
Okay, that's fair. For me, there are other guys that I like a bit more. I like Jacoby Brissett. I like Carson Palmer a little bit more. So I'm not really about him, but if you need to play him, you need to play him. On the Lions side of the ball, Kenny Golladay should be back this week. He might be worth a speculative waiver ad coming back from injuries, but he's certainly not worth considering to play yet. And then for me, the only 2 guys on this offense that you're starting outside of Stafford are Amir Abdullah and Golden Tate. Am I wrong there?
Yeah, definitely. Golden Tate should have a game too. Speaking of a slot receiver, he should beat up New Orleans pretty well. So you should be excited as a Golden Tate owner. And Amir Abdullah is going to have a good bounce back game. This normally would be actually a good matchup for Theo Riddick, but Theo Riddick's been kind of ass.
Dude, I dropped Theo Riddick in a couple of leagues this week. It's just he's not getting the snaps. He's not getting the work. He's really like And that's fine because Abdul is doing well, and if that's the direction they're going, like great. Abdul is probably the more talented guy anyway. But yeah, Theo Riddick, like I don't think should even be owned at this point.
Yeah, he's a disappointment because I feel like going into the season, that's someone that you kind of look forward to drafting in the later rounds. So that could be, kind of like the James White of this year. He's always going to have that solid floor, which he doesn't have this year.
And I ended up with him all over the place just because I went with that strategy of lots of like 5th to 10th round, I'm taking like 5 or 6 running backs.
Right.
And so I ended up with a ton of Theo Riddick, and it has just not worked out at all. But hey, what can you do? Saints side of the ball, the big news obviously this week, Adrian Peterson traded to the Cardinals. And while that doesn't really matter for Adrian Peterson, as Vinny and Shrek pointed out on the recap podcast, it matters for Mark Ingram and it matters for Alvin Kamara. So with Peterson gone, what do you think about Ingram and Kamara heading into this matchup with the Lions?
I think they're both plays. I think because Kamara you can play, especially if you're in a PPR format. He's more of the pass-catching back. And then Ingram has been increasingly getting more and more snaps. He even hit his season-high snap rate of 62% when they played against Miami. So now that I know AP didn't do much, but I mean that's still, 7, 8 snaps that now Ingram could be having. So I think they're both plays this week.
Yeah, I completely agree. To this point in the season, Ingram's been averaging 11 carries and 5 targets per game, so about 16 touches or so. And then Kamara's been averaging 4 carries and 7 targets per game. I wouldn't expect the targets to really go up for either of them. I'd expect that to stay about constant. But each of them should pick up, like 3 to 5 carries per game, and that's worth something. So I very much agree. I think Ingram is solidified as, a low RB1, high RB2 going forward. And I think Kamara is, an RB2 flex type play, depending on the matchup and particularly in PPR. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. In terms of the passing game, Willie Snead is back. He came back from his suspension but was injured. Now, the word on the street is that he's going to get worked in slowly and will come more and more up to speed as the season goes on. Which of these pass catchers do you have any interest in playing? Is it just Michael Thomas or are there other people?
Yeah, it's just Michael Thomas. I think if you're a Michael Thomas owner, especially for the first 2 weeks where you're seeing Coleman get those touchdowns, you now can be happy with Snead coming back to tell Coleman to fuck off. But again, because I don't know how much they're going to work Snead yet. So I think Michael Thomas is your only receiver that you're going to be playing this week.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think he's the only receiver, and he's been really good for the past couple of weeks, honestly. So definitely. I've been very happy with him. I own him in a couple leagues. And then obviously Drew Brees, you're rolling out. If you drafted him, he's your starter. So continue doing that. You got anything else on the Saints, Don?
No, that's about it.
All right, who are you taking here?
I'm going to roll with New Orleans.
I will also do that. And on that note, we will take a quick break to hear from our pals at Bench Boss, and we'll be right back with the second half of part 1 of the Week 6 breakdown. All right, and we are back. So that was our good friends at Bench Boss. Like I said, Vinny gave them a shot in the beta test this past week. Really enjoyed it. So make sure you keep an eye out as they continue to roll out their product. Don, let's get right back in. We got 3 more games to cover before we get into some questions on part 1 of the Week 6 preview. The first game we're going to talk about here is Green Bay at Minnesota. Green Bay a 3-point road favorite, which is interesting. Over under of 46.5. Keenum's going to start, so that's probably why that line is as it is. What do you think about this Green Bay backfield with the addition of Aaron Jones, who looked great, and then Ty Montgomery coming back healthy into the fold?
Yeah, first I want to apologize for saying nay to Aaron Jones last week. I was watching this game with my dad, and I was like, Dad, I fucked up so bad.
He's great, man. He's really good.
He played really awesome. So here's the thing. Ty Montgomery, I don't know. He's been practicing, but he's still got that flak jacket on. I don't know if he's going to play. I think maybe, but Aaron Jones is still going to be the guy to go to. I don't know how much Montgomery will be worked in if he does play, because they don't want to get him beat up more than he has to with that rib injury. So I think Aaron Jones is more of the play to go, and that's the only one I would roll out. I wouldn't really roll out Montgomery unless you really had to.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm benching Montgomery in the one league where I own him, which is actually against you. So
Nice.
So you will not have to root against Ty Montgomery this week.
Yeah, like that's someone I'd play Elijah McGuire over.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I think that you're right that Jones is probably a good play. I'd be a little nervous making it, but you know what? Running back sucks and you have to make some uncomfortable plays sometimes. So you probably just have to play Aaron Jones if you're going with it.
Yeah.
What about the pass catchers here? We saw Devontae Adams come back, have a great game after basically being decapitated on the field a week earlier. Jordy Nelson missed the last drive of last week with a back injury, but he is supposedly okay. And then you still have Randall Cobb in the slot. So talk to me about these receivers and which ones you're okay with for this game.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be tough. One, with Aaron Rodgers, Vikings always play tough against Aaron Rodgers, especially since Zimmer's been there. And they've been playing really tough against quarterback this year. I think they've only given up one top 15 quarterback play this year. And it was at like QB 11 or something like that. I don't know. They've been playing really tough. With that being said, I think especially with Jordy being a little bit hurt, and they always play really tough on the number one wideout, I think that leaves way more for Devontae Adams. I think Devontae Adams is going to be your guy to go to. I think you still roll out Jordy Nelson. If he's playing, I don't think he's someone that you can sit, but I think you're going to see Devontae Adams have the best game out of all the receivers. Randall Cobb, I still think you can play. He's just a little bit more of an inconsistent. And Martellus Bennett, guys, don't play him, but that's someone you could start looking back at soon. He's been getting a lot of targets. He has 31 targets from Rodgers this year already. So
fair enough. Yeah, I'm very off Bennett, but the rest of what you were saying, I completely agree with. And he's a guy looking forward in the weeks.
Yep.
So on the Minnesota side of the ball, that's a hard phrase to say. The Minnesota side of the ball. So as we said, Keenum's going to start. And then we saw Jerick McKinnon really get all of his points off one big play. But it seems that Jerick McKinnon's getting the majority of the snaps. We know that the Green Bay defense has kind of had issues with fast, shifty guys in the past. Do you think McKinnon's a good start this week? And do you have any interest in Latavius Murray either?
I have no interest in Murray. I think McKinnon really takes that lead back role. He outsnapped Murray 67% to a 31%. So, but you are right that we do have some troubles with those shifty backs. I think McKinnon is a good RB2 value this week. So I think he's a good play for you. If you have Murray, don't play him.
Yeah, I mean, McKinnon got like 66% of the snaps this past week. He looked way better. To me, he's the guy going forward that you're going to play there. The other interesting injury thing for the Vikings is that Steph Diggs has a groin injury. You know, he's saying he's going to play. He still hasn't practiced yet, but he's saying he's going to play. I feel like you're probably still starting Steph Diggs just because he's so good. And, like, you don't want to have one of his 2 touchdown, 125-yard games on your bench. But it's very tough. And then I think Adam Thielen is, like, an unbelievable start this week. I think he's going to go
start.
Another guy, like, could approach, like, 180 yards this week. Just the Green Bay secondary is not good, and Thielen's fast and shifty and can get open.
Yeah, he's going to have a good game either way. If you're a Thielen owner and Diggs doesn't play, you're even more excited about it. But Diggs is a must play because if he does play, even if he is injured, he's still probably going to have a good game. They're both getting 25 targets, so they're being evenly distributed. I also think that Kyle Rudolph is a play this week as well.
Interesting. I'm not as much on Kyle Rudolph, but I can understand that if you think Minnesota is going to score some touchdowns because he gets red zone targets. So absolutely. Do you have anything else on this game, Don?
No, that's it.
All right, who are you taking?
Green Bay, baby.
I'm going to take the Minnesota upset at home. I generally bet on home dogs, particularly in college, but sometimes in the NFL too. Anyway, Next game, this game sucks. Chicago at Baltimore. The Baltimore is a 6.5 point favorite. The over/under is 39.5. It's just a gross game. Chicago's implied point total is 16.5. I feel like on Chicago's side, theoretically, Tariq Cohen would be a good play, but he's been getting around 25% of the snaps these past couple weeks, and I don't really
John
think he can
Fox.
play. John Fox fucking sucks,
John
man. I
fucking
hate
Fox, man.
I feel like the rage toward John Fox and his stubbornness and like bad decisions was kind of tempered by the fact that Jeff Fisher was in the league. And now that Jeff Fisher's not in the league, like it's just like, oh shit, John Fox fucking sucks. Dude.
Everything goes right to John Fox. Yeah. I just remember when I had fucking Forte and Langford playing because I was so depleted. And
Kadeem Carey
got those 2 touchdowns. That was when that was the day I would never want anything good with John Fox ever. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah. I don't think there's a single player on the Bears that you want to play this week, including Jordan Howard, including Tariq Cohen.
Yeah. I'm cool with playing Jordan Howard. I think he's going to have a game, but that's about it.
Okay. I know Howard has been better. I think the Baltimore defense is very good, so
they are
I don't
good.
know. It's tough, and in fairness, I've been biased against Howard because I own a lot of Cohen, and I just want him to do well. So maybe don't take my opinion on Howard as seriously as others.
Yeah, I would still go with Jordan Howard if you have him. Tariq Cohen is nasty, but again, John Fox is just going to fuck you with him. So
yeah. What about the Baltimore side of the ball? Because we don't need to talk about the wide receivers or the tight ends, do we? Or maybe Zach Miller?
I like Zach Miller.
Okay.
I think that's going to be like Trubisky's guy to go to. I think that's going to be his safe play. He's already targeted Zach Miller the most. I've actually picked up Zach Miller in a few leagues, so I'm kind of cool with Zach Miller, and I would roll with him.
Okay, that's fair. Definitely the play out of anyone there. The wide receivers, it's a little hard because they're not getting too many targets, and they're all not that great. It's like a bunch of cast-offs from other teams, basically. It's really a shame Cam Meredith got hurt, but anyway.
Yep.
Baltimore side of the ball. So Buck Allen really seemed to establish himself as the guy in that backfield last week. Do you buy that, or do you think it might be someone else there?
No, I buy Buck Allen. Terrence West going down. Buck Allen had 71% of the backfield snaps and 25 touches, 5 targets. I think that's a guy to go to. I think that kind of pushes Alex Collins out of the way. I think Buck Allen is really your guy.
Yeah, I agree. Collins would be like a desperation play if you really need one and kind of hope he gets a touchdown. But yeah, Buck Allen seems like the guy here. So continue with that. Do you have any interest in Macklin or Ben Watson?
No. Flacco is just that bad. He's not doing anything good, especially for us fantasy owners, for if you have any receivers on that team. Macklin has the highest targets, but again, he's in the last 5 games, he's never exceeded 60 yards. So I don't think there's anyone that you can play receiving wise for that team.
Okay, I think if you're a little desperate, Macklin might be a guy. He still got 8 targets last week. I know he only caught 3 of them because Flacco's bad, but he might be a guy for me. Other than that, is there anyone on Baltimore or Chicago you want to talk about?
That sums it up on that team, or that matchup.
All right, who you got for this one?
I'm going to go Baltimore because I hate Chicago. It's at Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore's totally going to win this. All right, last game of this podcast, then we'll get into some questions and let you guys go for now. So we got San Francisco at Washington. Another kind of gross game. Washington's dude. Every game I feel like is a 9+ point favorite for one team this week. It's like way more than normal. But anyway, Washington's a 10-point favorite. The over-under is 46.5. Let's start on the Niners side of the ball. What do you think about this backfield with Matt Breida getting the majority of the work this past week?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Kyle Shanahan came out and said that they're just going to roll with whoever the hot hand is.
That's
So
like the two worst words in conjunction that could be used for fantasy owners that like in the world.
right,
We're gonna use the hot hand. It's like fuck you, man.
exactly.
Just tell me one of them is gonna be the passing down back and one of them is gonna be like the early down back or something. Don't tell me the hot hand. But anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, I mean it's true. I mean, I think you're a little concerned if you're a Hyde owner. I don't know if he's the play to play this week. Um, I don't think it's going to be for the season where you're going to have to worry. I think Hyde will work it out and be fine. They did sideline him last week after the 3 final drives after he only had 18 yards on 9 rushes against the Colts. So I would probably stay away from both of them. I don't think Brado's going to be too much of a threat. But with them saying that, who knows what they're going to do this week.
Yeah, I'm not playing either of them. I don't think you can trust either of them unless you're desperate. In the passing game, I like Garcon,
Mhm.
and I think maybe Marquise Goodwin. He did get 11 targets this past week, so he's an interesting play. But for me, it's Garcon, and that's about it.
Yeah, I would safely play Garcon. Marquise Goodwin does have a good amount of targets, but he's a very boomer bust type of player.
Yeah.
I would still play like a Robbie Anderson over Marquise Goodwin.
Okay. And then, do you have any interest in tight end at George with George Kittle? Do you have any interest in him?
I do. I think you can spin the wheel on Kittle, especially after we saw him do a nice Stone Cold Stunner.
So awesome. he was limited in practice this week. He apparently has a chest injury.
Stunner too hard.
But yeah, he stunnered way too hard. but no, yeah, I think he's a very like an interesting tight end. I don't think I'm about him this week.
Redskins have been crushed by the tight ends a few times this year. So I think Kittle would be an okay play. I think he's an okay person to spin the wheel on if you have someone on the buy or you're streaming.
Okay, fair enough. That's good with me. That Stone Cold Stunner. If you haven't seen it, it's he's apparently like friends with some dudes who wrestle in an indie wrestling promotion in Iowa or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And a video surfaced of George Kittle getting into the ring and delivering a Stone Cold Stunner to one of the bad guys, and the crowd went nuts, which is pretty awesome. As a huge wrestling fan, it immediately endeared me to Kittle. But yeah.
It was pretty funny watching that video. It was a good stunner, man. He might have a career on that.
It was nice. What was it? Rogers was saying he's publicly said that if his football career doesn't work out, he'd probably try to go become a professional wrestler. So it's just like, man, I like you so much, George Kittle. I hope you have a great career, but then I also kind of hope you don't, because I want to see you become a professional wrestler. But it is what it is.
I would actually like to see him like get a touchdown, do a celebration where he treats the goalpost as like the ropes and does like a 619 on someone.
Around the goalpost 619. That would be so badass. Particularly because he's like 6'5" and gigantic.
Because he's huge.
Yeah, dude. But anyway, enough about George Kittle and professional wrestling. Let's move on to the Washington side of the ball here. Rob Kelly is still likely going to be out. I'm in love with Samaje Perine this week.
Yeah, he was one of the top waiver targets for sure if he was on the waivers, which I think a lot of people did drop him. So they said that he's going to be the main back with Kelly being out. I think he's going to be a good play against the 49ers. I know that people wonder with the whole Thompson thing, but I think Thompson's going to be, your pass threat while Perine's going to be, mainly running the ball.
Yeah, and in a game where Washington's favored so heavily, I think that should work out for him. What about the passing game? Do you think Cousins is a good start? And then what about, Reed, Pryor, I guess Crowder, though that's – anyway, yeah, just speak to me about those.
I love Pryor this week. I think Pryor's going to have a great week this week.
Me too.
I had some stats that I can't find, but it led towards Terrell Pryor being really good for this matchup this week. So definitely play him. You should be excited. I think Cousins I think he's a safe play. I'm not touching Crowder right now, even though they said that they came out and said that they are going to be working Crowder more and trying to get him more targets. We still haven't seen it, so there's no reason for you to have to play him. As for Jordan Reed or Vernon Davis, I don't know. I guess Jordan Reed is still the tight end to go to, but Vernon Davis still takes away from Jordan Reed as well. So I would kind of possibly spin the wheel over one of them.
See, I'm very much on Reed this week. I think he'll have a big week. I like Pryor, as you said, and then because I like the two of them, I think I have to like Cousins. So I think the Redskins should be a pretty potent offense this week against San Francisco, and you can kind of rely on them for a decent amount of production there. Don, who do you got in this game?
Yeah, I mean Washington. San Francisco sucks this year again.
Yep. Me too. Though San Francisco's point differential actually isn't that bad. I think they've like lost their last 3 games by a combined like 11 points or something like that. So.
Oh really?
I think they're a little bit better than their record, but I'm still not going to pick them for this game.
Nope.
I might bet on them to cover that spread, but I'm not going to pick them for this game.
Fair enough.
All right, so let's get into some questions, and then we'll get on out of here. We'll be back with part 2 of the podcast coming out, I guess, tomorrow if you're listening to this. But first, some questions. So the first from Nico on Instagram. Should I trade Brandon Cooks for Fuller and Hogan? Don, what do you think here?
That's not bad. I mean, we already went over the stats with – I mean, I know that we said that we think that Cooks will eventually out-target Hogan, but again, Hogan's been catching a touchdown every game, and I mean, it's not like he's shy on targets either. And Will Fuller, I mean, he's got a lot of touchdowns already. Again, we think that he's going to regress a little bit, but I don't know who your other tight ends are, and if you're hurt, if you need to, I think that's fair. I would take Chris Hogan and Will Fuller for Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, I think I would too. I mean, like we said, Hogan's outproduced Cooks by a decent amount so far this year. I don't necessarily buy Fuller as like an every week starter, but he's definitely a throw him into your lineup and see what happens type guy. So yeah, I would do that trade. Next question from Chandler on Instagram. Is Jerick McKinnon worth a flex start? Yes.
Yeah, RB2 value right there.
Yeah, totally. Throw him in there. It's the Green Bay defense. He's going to do some stuff. Next question from Mark Andre on Instagram. Pick 3 of these guys, and one of them played tonight, so I don't know if we're going to be able to do this, but Alshon, Demarius, Diggs, and Tate. So before the game tonight happened, I would probably say Alshon, Demarius, and Tate, but I don't know. What do you think, Don?
Yeah, I would say the same too. Tate's a definite play, and I don't know what you did now, so I would agree with you though, Walsh.
Yeah, sorry we didn't get to that in time for this Thursday night game. The Thursday night kind of fucks up a lot of fantasy stuff, but whatever. It's nice because it's another night of football. Yep. Speaking of which, Don, you got an update on that game?
In a second, I will.
All right, I'll go into the next question first. From Ben on Instagram. So McKinnon or Amendola in PPR this week? What do you think?
Ooh, that's a good question, man. I don't know how you sit. And it's PPR. I would go Amendola.
I think I'd go McKinnon, but it's definitely very close. So we're gonna split that one. You should listen to me. I'm better than Don. No, that's the booze talking. Anyway, next question.
We'll see this week on this matchup, bitch.
Yeah, I guess we will. We're gonna find out who's better right now in the squared circle. No, not in the squared circle. So then the last question that we have from Manny on Instagram, do you go Pirine or Coleman? And I'm assuming that's Tevin Coleman in the flex this week, and I would go Samaje Pirine.
Pirine's going to be the starting back. Coleman is not, so go Pirine.
All right, I like it. Don, did we get an update on that game?
Yeah, it's 21-13 Philly, and they are driving. Oh, no, they're on their own 10. Never mind. But it's 21-13 Philly.
All right, cool. Fair enough. With that being said, we're going to get out of here. Make sure you take a look for part 2 of the preview podcast coming your way tomorrow on Saturday. So make sure you give that a listen. For Don, I am Walsh. We'll be back with part 2. This was part 1. Later podcast. All right. And what time was that? I have no idea what time it was.
Oh, dude. That sucks. Fucking, he just aired out like a 35-yard to Jeffrey and fucking dropped it.
Really?
Yeah, it was. He was being contended pretty hard though.
Who got the
That
other
would have been a sick grab.
touchdowns?
All Zach Ertz, dude.
For real?
2 to Zach Ertz, and then let's see here. Maybe Blunt. I don't know. I didn't see the last one.
If it's 21, it must have been another field goal because it was 10 to 3.
Field goal. Yep, 10 to 3.
So a field goal and then a 2-point conversion.
Yep.
Okay. So it was 2 touchdowns to Ertz and then 2 field goals.
Lil Garrett Blunt had a 2-point conversion.
Okay, cool. I'm going to take a piss real quick, and then we can jump into part 2. All right. At the break for the bench boss read, I'll probably stop to pour myself a glass of wine for the second half.
No worries, dude.
Because I'll be out of my 40 by that point.
That's cool.
All right.
Some 40 action to pregame your wine. Like that.
Nothing like it.
That's fucking classy as shit.
Dude, have you heard about these fires out here?
Oh yeah, dude. My dad 2 miles from his house was everyone was evacuating because it was in Anaheim.
Yeah, man. We have there's like unprecedented ones in Sonoma and Napa too.
It's crazy.
I was saying like the roommates are watching Blade Runner in there. We have like a friend who lives in Napa who's staying with us right now because he just like bounced.
Oh yeah, dude. Napa got crushed.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's crazy, man. All those, I mean, it's from like North California all the way down south. It's bad.
Yeah, dude. Basically, the whole state's on fire.
Literally.
But what can you do?
I heard Napa Valley got hit pretty hard.
Oh yeah, dude, it's fucked. It's like gonna affect a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like the wine industry is gonna be fucked up from it, and like
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna start again. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Let's Talk Fantasy Football. My name is Nick Walsh. I'm your host tonight, and with me is my co-host, one of my favorite people to talk football with, and probably my favorite overall person to watch football with because no one reacts, no one screams as loud, no one is more emotional about it than my good friend Don Chrisman. Don, what's up, dude?
I'm known to be a pretty shy guy.
just real shy, real quiet, doesn't start screaming about things ever.
I don't think I've ever been called obnoxious.
No, definitely never. And I don't think you ever wore a white tux to prom in high school either. So
yeah, that shit's real lame. Would never do that.
Bringing back the deep cuts.
Well,
just to illustrate.
It was a pinstriped white on white tux. All right.
just to illustrate the exact type of person that Don is.
A really cool and humble guy.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very cool and humble. So anyway, I am here with Don, and we are here to do part 2 of the Week 6 preview. But before we do that, we're going to give a quick shout out to Bench Boss. They are the revolutionary app that allows you to play fantasy football live while watching the game on TV. You can predict the plays, the results of the play, and literally play fantasy football. And you can sign up for the beta now by going to letstalkfantasyfootball.com/benchboss. So make sure you're checking them out. Guys, we say it every time, but make sure you're subscribing on whatever podcast service you use. Please give us a review if you like us. If you don't, maybe don't give us a review. And make sure you're checking out our apps on iOS and Android. They're both compatible with your Amazon Echo if you have one of those as well, too. So, Don, we got 6 games. We got some questions. We got some things to do. So let's start jagging off, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we're starting the part 2 podcast with the Los Angeles Rams at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars here at home are a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under here is 42.5. The Jags defense is legit. Ben Roethlisberger just threw 5 interceptions against them.
They almost made him retire right there.
Dude, that was like really weird. And then he came back and was like, no, I'm fine. It's just manic depressive Ben Roethlisberger. But anyway, I feel like there's very little fantasy production or fantasy goodness to be had in this game. On the Rams side, with Jacksonville being so good on defense, who are your starters there for you?
I'm still going to play Gurley, and I think that's it.
Okay. I'm with you on Gurley. I think Gurley's an every week start despite his down week last week. I'm mildly interested in Cooper Kupp because the Jacksonville boundary corners, they're 2, outside receiver corners, AJ Boye and Jalen Ramsey are 2 of the best in the NFL. And while they're not bad in the slot seems like the place to attack them. So I feel like if Goff's going to get any production, it's going to go to Cooper Kupp. So I think if you're desperate, Kupp might be a start.
Yeah, Kupp's your safest player to play too. I know that Sammy Watkins came out and said he doesn't know if they're going to work more targets to him. So I'm sure he's really thrilled right now. But Sammy Watkins is definitely – I hope you sat him last week as well. And I know that Robert Woods is a name that everyone throws around. This is not the week to be getting cute with Robert Woods and play.
Outside receivers against the Jaguars, unless it's like one of the elite of the elite, like you're just not playing them.
Yeah.
That's a rule.
They make at least one wide receiver cry every game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're really, really good. We'll see what happens here. On the Jacksonville side of the ball, I only have one play. I'm interested in who you think we should play this week.
Mr. Leonard Fournette.
And that's it, right? Am I wrong?
There's no one else to play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not comfortable with Marquise Lee. I'm not comfortable with Allen Hurns, Mercedes Lewis, Blake Bortles, any of them. And Fournette last week, I think myself, you, and Vinny, we're all kind of like temper expectations on him against this Steelers defense. Like, he might be good, and then he puts up like a 30-point week on you. Did
he have 181 yards?
Yeah, it's like unbelievable what he's doing. He's quickly ascended into the upper echelon and one of the most consistent running backs in the league.
Yeah, he's a big dude, and he runs over people. He's your everyday start, and he's fucking good.
Yeah, that's crazy that in this game there's like 2.5 starts, and that's it.
It's the 2 running backs.
Like we're done talking about it. That's all we needed to say, really. But yeah, who you got in this one, Don? You jagging off still?
I'm gonna jag off watching Fournette run all over the Rams.
All right, I'm gonna take the Rams because I think Sean McVay is the wunderkind. I think he's he's coach. But anyway,
throwing it back to like high school German class.
Oh yeah, dude. Frau, what was her last name?
Frau Coughlin? Was it Frau?
Frau Coughlin.
Yeah.
Who was that dickhead we had in 7th and 8th grade? Hair.
Oh, I don't remember. And then he was really weird. Hair something, and then I had Hair Jarmolowitz.
Was it Hair Sanders?
I don't know. I remember him. He had like that flat top cut.
Yeah. He was a bigger dude with a flat top. And I don't mean muscular, but
and he wanted to buy a school rose when they were selling roses for $1 for his girlfriend. I was like, dude, I already know.
Yeah.
No bueno. You might as well go to the fucking prom in a white tux.
So if you came to the podcast for throwback stories about me and Don in middle school and high school, then you came to the right place. Don, let's move on to the next game here before we talk more about high school.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So we have Tampa Bay at Arizona. This game, the line is interesting to me because it actually opened with Arizona as a 1-point favorite, and it's been bet over to Tampa Bay as a 2.5-point favorite. So that's a 3.5-point swing in the direction of Tampa Bay already in the week. So Tampa Bay is currently a 2.5-point favorite. The over/under is 45, and again, they're a road favorite. What do you think about Tampa Bay's offense this week against what has been a good Arizona secondary, even though they've given up a lot of points this year? What do you think is going to go on with Jameis and the crew?
I think Jameis actually is a streamer this week because Arizona's defense, they do have some injuries. So I think this would actually be a good time to play Jameis. He's throwing a lot of targets to Mike Evans. I think Deshaun Jackson is still a play, and I think Cameron Brate's a play as well. So I think with those 3 targets there that I think are playable this week, I think Jameis would be a pretty decent streamer.
That's fair. I don't think you're sitting Mike Evans, but I'm afraid with Patrick Peterson on him because Arizona is definitely a team that's willing to shadow. I am all over Deshaun Jackson. I think he's one of the best plays of the week this week.
Cool. You heard it here first.
And then what do you think about Doug Martin?
Yeah, I'm still playing Doug Martin. You had a good game against, again, the Patriots defense is not really a team that you want to have a real life comparison with because they're not a very good rush defense. But I think Doug Martin, you're still running them out there. So
yeah, I know it was an easy matchup and whatever else. I think Doug Martin's another guy who's an every week starter until further notice.
Definitely.
So keep that going. And then you mentioned Cameron Brate, definitely a guy you can consider at tight end, though I think there are some other guys. We talked about him on the last podcast, the Ryan Griffins, the ASJs, that I personally like a little bit more. Arizona side of the ball, I wasn't considering Jameis as much, but to me, Carson Palmer is a great streamer this week. What do you think about Palmer and the passing targets here?
This would be a great week to play Carson Palmer, and this is a good matchup for him, but he still hasn't even produced poorly. I mean, he's been within the top QB 15 almost every week. So especially with this really bad pass defense, I think Carson Palmer is going to have a good week. Larry Fitzgerald is dominating in targets. He's already got 51, so he is a must start. I also think John Brown is a play. I think he came back into that number 2 wideout role. I think he was in 80% of the snaps last week or something crazy. 80%, yeah. So I think John Brown is someone that you can throw into the flex this week as well.
Yeah, I'm about it. For me, I have trouble pinpointing. I know Fitzgerald has the most targets, but I have trouble pinpointing really where the production is going to go to these wide receivers, which is why I like Palmer so much, because I think when you get Palmer, you capture all of that production. And as you said, it's the prevailing thought is that Carson Palmer is terrible because he's looked terrible and he's played terribly, but as a terrible quarterback, he still produced for fantasy. So, right. So it's been one of those things where the eye test has been like, ugh, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, he got me 18 points. So it ends up working out, and I have no doubt that it will again this week. Peterson went there in that trade. I don't think he's worth a play at all this week or
Definitely not.
really in the future. But what do you think about Andre Ellington, who has 24 targets in the past 2 games out of the backfield?
Yeah, that's cool. I think you could still roll out Ellington. I don't think that you even have to worry about AP against Ellington this week because AP just got there. I don't even know how much he's got to learn the playbook and everything else. I don't know how much you're really going to see with him there. I would expect not with Peterson. I did pick him back up in a league, but that's just because my running backs are starting to be really bad, and it's in the hopes of maybe it'll be something. But I think Ellington is still a good play for the next few weeks to come for sure.
Yeah, I'm very about it. Let's pick this one, Don. I'm going to take Arizona.
I'm going to go Tampa Bay.
All right, fair enough. And then we'll move on to Pittsburgh at Kansas City. We just talked a little bit about Ben Roethlisberger and his weirdness after this past week. But Kansas City's a 4.5-point favorite here. The over-under is 46. We'll start with Pittsburgh. Am I wrong in saying it's just Le'Veon and Antonio Brown this week?
Yeah, in my notes, I literally just say play Bell and Brown. I think there's a little bit of hype, I guess, on Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, I picked him up in a couple leagues this week, but I don't intend on playing him. I just kind of picked him up as a stash.
Yeah, Kansas City's really good this year, obviously, so it's not the time to do it, but I think that's someone that you can pick up and have on your bench and can be a good flex play possibly, in the next few weeks to come when you have buys. He's been out snapping and running more routes than Bryant in the past few games, so he could take over that number 2 spot.
They even said as well that they might give Bryant some breaks this week, like the coaches in press conferences or whatever, as in sets where they have Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, and then Eli Rogers. So Martavis appears to be getting phased out. That's not what I thought was going to happen going into the year. I had a lot of Martavis going into the year. I was wrong on it. And you can't start him, and Juju Smith-Schuster should probably be owned in most leagues. But as we said, just Le'Veon and Antonio Brown this week. No reason to own or start Roethlisberger anymore. KC side of the ball, Tyreek Hill just got added to the injury report today with a hamstring issue. It hasn't really been talked about, so it likely isn't serious. And then in the other injury news, Travis Kelce got a full practice in today, which is a good sign because he's dealing with a concussion. I know he hasn't been cleared to play in a game yet, but it's a good sign that he practiced in full today. So talk to me about the Chiefs offense in general and who you like this week.
Yeah, man. Kareem Hunt is nasty.
Yes.
Nasty. Oh, my God. For all those that I tip my hat off to, because I was not about trying to figure out that backfield going into the season before Spencer Ware went down. So for all those that did that fucking pay off. So, again, you must play Kareem Hunt every week. Tyreek Hill, like you said, it shouldn't be an issue, and he should be playing. I'm playing Tyreek Hill. And Travis Kelce, they haven't cleared him yet on the protocol, but I'm going to assume that he will be cleared with that full practice, and he is a play as well. But those are my 3 guys that I'm playing.
Yeah, absolutely. If with Hill and Kelce, if they go, you play them. And then Alex Smith, is he an every week quarterback at this point, or are you a little? I don't know.
Yeah. I would go with. Travis Kelce. I'm not Travis Kelce. Alex Smith is very whatever. He's going to have a decent floor for you, but I think you should go and even stream and fly for someone that has better matchups. Like you're playing a Jacoby Brissett. I would still probably go with the Jacoby Brissett he can have a bunch of rushing touchdowns and he has a good matchup.
That's fair. Yeah, I think I'm the same way. I don't mind Alex Smith as a play. I'm not going out of my way to play him. Who you got in this one, Don? Yeah,
they're in Arrowhead, so I'm going Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm going Kansas City as well. They might be the best team in the NFL right now. Yeah, congrats, Shrek. All right, so with that being said, let's get a quick word from our friends at Bench Boss, and we'll be right back. All right, I am going to pour myself a glass of wine.
Yeah, get some of that vino in, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's fucking class right there. Is that a nice Cabernet Sauvignon?
Oh, didn't see you there.
As you're measuring out your wine. That's not enough. Oh, yeah. Chase that down with some wine. There you go.
Oh, wonderful. It's a good Thursday, Don.
40s and bottles of red.
Oh yeah, dude.
That's
All
great.
right. Shall we jump back into it?
Let's continue.
And we're back. That was our good friends over at Bench Boss. Make sure you're checking them out at letstalkfantasyfootball.com/benchboss. Don, we have 3 more games to get into, and then we got a couple listener questions, which we will answer as well. But the first of these games, which I am completely perplexed by this game and these teams, and I don't know up from down and down from up in this. It's the Chargers at the Raiders. There's no line yet because Carr is expected to play, but we don't know if he's actually going to go. Also, Mike Williams, the Chargers rookie wide receiver, is expected to make his debut. I don't know how much he's actually going to play. I have no idea what to think of this whole game. So Don, talk to me about, I guess, the Chargers to start and what you think.
Cool, man. Yeah, I think that's Mike Williams should be someone that everybody should be on the watch to possibly pick up in the next week. I don't think he's going to do much this week, but, they had a lot of high hopes for him going into this season. In the next few weeks, he might be someone that will wean out a Tyrell Williams and Travis Benjamin, even though I don't think Travis Benjamin was owned in many leagues as it is. Other than that, Phillip Rivers actually has been a pretty good starter almost every week. He's been within top 12 in the last 4 out of 5 games, even though their record doesn't really show for it. I think he's someone that you need to play against this Oakland defense. Keenan Allen, again, just another year where he's one of the tops in NFL targets, already at 52. I think he's going to be someone that you don't sit this week. I also even think that Hunter Henry is someone that you play. They've been really starting to phase out Gates now, and Hunter Henry's more of that tight end that everyone's been hoping for earlier this year. So I think you got Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, and Melvin Gordon, along with Phillip Rivers, are your starters.
Yeah, I think you're probably about right there. Henry was the question that I had big time. He took over the lion's share of the snaps this past week. Do you think that continues? And if it does, the Raiders are a good matchup for him. So he's worth a play. I think you hit the nail on the head there. So let's move over to the Raiders side of the ball. As I said, Carr is expected to play. Who knows if he does? And then if he does, how effective is he going to be? But Carr aside, I have trouble really recommending starting any of these Raiders running backs. And I know Lynch is the only one that you would have really started anyway. I don't think you can start Marshawn Lynch. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think you can go elsewhere. Again, another person I would play, Elijah McGuire, over him.
Yeah, absolutely. You're completely right there, and that's kind of the litmus test for this week. I think is would you rather play this guy or Elijah McGuire? And if it's Elijah McGuire, you shouldn't be playing that guy. That's kind of the way it is there. In terms of the passing game and the receivers, I'd be interested to see whether they just let Hayward play aside this week for the Chargers, or if they have him shadow someone. I think Crabtree's a good play at receiver either way. And Cooper is really tough. I think if Carr plays, you probably play him, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper's got to be one of the biggest busts of this year. He was, probably your second round pick.
Mm-hmm.
I have him in a league because I didn't have him in any other ones. But I want to get Cooper in. He's just been sitting on my bench, so I'm sure everyone is pretty disappointed. It came out today that he's very optimistic that that's all going to change, but this isn't the week that I'm going to just throw Cooper in there and hope for the best.
Yeah, I'm going to play him in daily just because when he goes off, I need to be on it. He's going to be really low owned and he's cheap, so it makes sense in daily, I think, to throw him in there in tournaments. But
with your Hogan Lewis stack.
Dude, honestly, I might have a stack or a lineup that has Kevin Hogan, Duke Johnson, Amari Cooper, just Terrell Pryor, the grossest plays. And if it goes off, I'm going to win a ton of money. But
that's great. Pryor's definitely a good play, so I do recommend that one.
Fair enough. But yeah, Cooper, I know he's a good wide receiver, And I know he's got a case of the yips where it comes to the drops. things just aren't working out for him. I don't know exactly the specifics, but I feel like at some point he has to come back from that. I don't know if it's this week or not. Either way, play Crabtree. That's all I got.
That's fair.
All right, who you taking here, Don?
Sorry, Walsh, I'm going to bolt up, man.
Fuck you. No, that's fine. I'm going to take the Raiders, but I'm not very confident at all. It's been a weird year as a Raiders fan, but
definitely we had high expectations for Oakland this year.
And like the first 2 weeks, they were great too.
Yep.
So it is what it is. Ever since that Monday night dud, or what was it, Sunday night? It was Sunday night against the Redskins.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, let's move on to this game is gross too. Denver or the Giants at the Broncos. So this is the largest spread of the week. Denver is a 12-point favorite, and the over/under is only 39. On Denver's side of the ball, I think it's really obvious, and I think it's C.J. Anderson, it's Emmanuel Sanders, and it's DT.
Yeah, another person that you might want to play DFS-wise and play if you have him is Sanders, Eli Apple, because Janoris Jenkins is most likely going to follow DT. Eli Apple has allowed 4 TDs in the last 5 games, so you would look to. I believe that Sanders is going to have a big game against Giants this week.
It's definitely possible. Eli Apple has just been toasted the entire year, so yeah, could totally see that happening.
And Cromartie's not playing.
Yeah, he apparently got into a huge fight with like the coaches or whatever.
With McAdoo,
he wanted to be playing outside above Eli Apple, and they were like, "No, Eli Apple's good, but he's not." But anyway, and I think it's. I don't know if it's. So I have 2 plays on the Giants that I think are actual plays. And who do you think? Do you think there's any plays on the Giants? Like, who are your guys there?
I mean, if you have to, I guess Gallman. But I don't know. I was going to say I'm not going to play anyone. I'd kind of stay away from everyone. But I'd like to hear what your thoughts are.
So I'm on Evan Ingram. Even after his 0-point week, this past week, I think Ingram. You know, if they're vulnerable anywhere with Denver, it's the middle of the field. So Ingram, I think, might have a decent game. They generally give up more points to tight ends than other positions. And then the other guy that I'm on this week is actually Shane Vereen. And I know Gallman and Darkwa have gotten the majority of the carries the past couple of weeks. My thinking is the Giants are going to be down a lot in the fourth quarter. And Denver is going to be playing, prevent type defenses, that sort of thing, where the passes that are open are the shitty little running back hook out of the backfield, so I could see Vereen being a garbage time hero. And I think even if he's not, he probably has a floor of 4 catches for 25 yards, which if you're in a PPR league, 6.5 points isn't going to murder you. I'm kind of honestly, it's because I'm desperate at running back in a couple of leagues, and I've done it. I've picked up Vereen and been I'm just going to swallow this week.
That is the level of desperacy there. I don't know if I'm on the Vereen thing. I think that's a very fair point where you say that, because I think Vereen will play more with that sense. I just don't think it's going to come into fantasy value. But I did totally skip out on Evan Ingram. I actually am starting him in a league. I'm cool with that. I totally forgot about that. I think Evan Ingram's going to be the go-to guy for Eli now more than ever. Yeah. Especially that Shepard is definitely I don't think Shepard's playing. They said it's unlikely. So
no, Shepard's not.
So their starting receivers are Roger Lewis and Tavares King. Fucking woof.
Also, I think Roger Lewis is worth a pickup, not a start this week, but he's worth a pickup in stash in some leagues, because they got to throw it to someone. It probably would be Roger Lewis.
Fair enough.
I'm taking Denver.
Oh yeah, it's not going to even be a chance. It's Denver.
All right, and then last game of the week, Monday night game, Tennessee at Indianapolis. Sorry, what a fucking game! Just really, really doing well on those primetime slates. Giants at Broncos and
Tennessee
fucking Titans at Colts. But there's no line yet on this game because we don't know if Mariota's going to play. And on the Tennessee side of the ball, everything in terms of fantasy plays depends on whether Mariota does play. if he plays, I think you can play Rashard Matthews, you can play Delaney Walker, and you can play DeMarco Murray. And if he doesn't, you can only play DeMarco Murray.
That's fair.
Do you have anything else on that?
No, I definitely not playing Rashard Matthews without Marcus Mariota. Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. I think DeMarco Murray's the must play. Other than that, no.
Okay, and then what do you think about the Colts side of the ball?
Yeah, with Indy, I know that you're playing Jacoby Brissett against me this week. I don't hate it. I think it's a good week to do the streaming for Jacoby Brissett. Again, not only he's not afraid to air it out, that's for sure. He's given T.Y. Hilton quite a bit of value. So if you're a T.Y. Hilton owner, you're happy that Jacoby Brissett's going to air it out to him. But also he has rushing capabilities as well. So I think Jacoby Brissett's a good streamer. I think you play T.Y. Hilton as well. But I believe that's it. I mean, they did say that Marlon Mack is going to have more of a role over Frank Gore. Frank Gore has been very consistent with like 10 points a week for you. So, but I would still sit him if I could.
Yeah, Mac for me is a pickup and stash. And then when I see he's actually getting the work, I'll do it. Despite the fact that he produced this past week, he was still outsnapped by Gore and Robert Turbin. He only saw 22% of the snaps. So
yep.
I'm not going to play a running back for the Colts who's getting 22% of the snaps. But regarding Brissett and Hilton, Brissett's 2 bad games this past year, the past couple of weeks were against Seattle and Arizona. He's had 2 good games otherwise, fantasy-wise. I think he had 27 and 17 points. And in those 2 good games, quote-unquote, T.Y. Hilton had 18 targets, 14 catches for 320 yards and 1 touchdown. So both of them are locks to me this week.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't think you need to go further than that. I know Moncrief has gotten some red zone looks and whatever. I wouldn't do it. If anything, I would play Kamara Aiken over him because he's getting more targets. But yeah, that's about it.
Cool, man. Yeah, I agree.
All right, cool. Well, then let's get into the question, let's pick this game. Who you got for this one?
I'm going to go with Indy.
Yeah, I'm going to take Indy too. I want a Jacoby Brissett win. I like him. I almost don't want Luck to come back because I like Jacoby Brissett. But
I like Jacoby Brissett a lot too, other than this week because you're fucking playing him. But other than that, I do like him. I like what he's doing, and it's awesome. He was the 3rd string quarterback only a few months ago, and now he's starting for Indy and doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into the questions here. We got 3 of them. The first 2 are from Adam. These all came in through Facebook. So the first question from Adam, he needs 1 wide receiver, 1 running back, and a flex out of Buck Allen, Will Fuller, Andre Ellington, Demaryius Thomas, Mark Ingram, and Alvin Kamara. Interesting.
I don't have – is this did you just put those on the doc?
Yeah.
Sweet. I didn't have that up.
Oh, okay. Never mind. So
you can answer first, and I'm pulling it back up.
Okay. So for me, I think the running back is obvious. I think it's Ingram. I think wide receiver-wise, you're going to Demaryius Thomas. And then flex, I don't remember if this was PPR or not, but I might honestly play Ingram and Kamara. It's a little tough there.
Yeah, I like Kamara this week. I think that's –
Do you think you'd play Kamara over Ellington and Buck Allen, though? I feel like you can immediately rule out Fuller for me.
Ooh, I might play Buck – I would actually probably play Buck Allen over Kamara.
Okay, so you would go Ingram, Thomas, because I think those 2 are obvious. Ingram and Thomas is the first 2. And then you'd go Buck Allen?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I'd agree on that. I think it's a really tough choice between Kamara, Ellington, and Buck Allen for the flex spot. So Buck Allen, I think, would work there. And then the next question from Adam, which of the aforementioned running backs from that previous question should he try to trade for Amari Cooper? Apparently, someone's really down on Amari Cooper, so you can get rid of Allen, Ellington, Ingram, or Kamara for Amari. I wouldn't get rid of Ingram. Any of the other 3, though. I mean, even 2 of them.
Yeah, I think I would get rid of I don't know.
Like,
I guess again, I really don't know how much of an AP is going to do on Ellington, but Ellington's been playing pretty well. You already have Ingram, and I would play Ingram over Kamara. I think I would give up Kamara for Amari Cooper if I was going to do it.
dude, I'd even like. I mean, I know he said he was like trying to propose a trade or whatever, so I'd even be willing to give up like, say, like Buck Allen and Will Fuller. Like, I would make that trade for Amari Cooper right now.
That's fair.
So, I mean, you can make a package there and try and see what the owner has, but I'd be willing to give up more than just one of those running backs, which I think the question was just which
unless
of those
that guy
running
is
backs.
really low on Cooper and wants to give it up just for that running.
I mean, fuck yeah!
Much,
if you can trade Buck Allen for Amari Cooper straight up, like do it. But
yeah.
All right, and then the last question here from Justin again on Facebook. So full point PPR here. Justin needs a tight end and a flex, which the flex can be a tight end. And it's between Jordan Reed, Evan Ingram, Elijah McGuire. I misspelled McGuire and put Maguire. I don't know what that means. So Jordan Reed, Evan Ingram, Elijah McGuire, or Amari Cooper. What do you think here, Don?
I think I'm playing Evan Ingram as the tight end, and I'm playing Elijah McGuire as your flex.
I'm on both tight ends. I'm on the Jordan Reed, Evan Ingram look for these two. So take that for what you will, and I guess move forth from there. But we'll see what happens. Don, you got anything else on this week? I'm gonna beat your ass, you stupid bitch, dude.
I'm gonna beat your ass while I'm wearing my fucking white tux on Sunday.
Damn it!
I might shave back my chin strap too for it.
Oh no, that's the thing we didn't mention. The fact that you had a chin strap in high school.
It wasn't a thin chin strap though.
It was kind of thin.
It wasn't
the thickest chin strap in the world.
Whatever, man. I was so cool.
All right, Don was cool. I had an afro. I still have an afro. Anyway. So we were both extremely cool is what we're telling you.
Right.
And when you're looking at people to play, do they pass the Elijah McGuire test? Those are the morals of this this podcast. So there you have it, guys. Don, you got anything else for the listeners this week?
Nah, that's about it, guys.
All right. Well, for Don, I am Walsh. This has been part 2 of the Week 6 preview. Later, podcast.